It's been a very hectic couple of hours, I tell you. The scenes of jubilation that we've seen this morning when the Springboks, we started our coverage with them from the hotel where they'd been stationed at OR Tambo International Airport, and they left about 7:30 this morning, and we headed towards the Union Buildings, of course, where now you saw these champions, the 4-time Rugby World Cup champions, meeting President Cyril Ramaphosa. Certainly, what were we celebrating here? Remember that momentous occasion of Saturday evening, the 28th of October 2023 in Paris, France, beating New Zealand's All Blacks at 12-11. I mean, the Springboks clearly, now have the distinct reputation of being the only nation to have won the Webb Ellis Trophy 4 times. So certainly this is something to celebrate. And I can tell you, Aldrin, the scenes of jubilation from the time we left the hotel to the Union Buildings now, people lining the streets, people on their way to work have been hooting. It's just been absolute joy. And the president touched on this, the issue of what this means for us as a country, the multitude of challenges that we face. We certainly do not look past that. But what I can tell you is this moment of glory, no matter how temporary it is certainly something to celebrate. And I mean, following, of course, their victory in Paris, now the World Cup Trophy Tour certainly does begin. And we're starting, of course, here in Johannesburg. And what will happen is that the president alluding to the fact that this trophy will not be able to go to every single corner of, the country. But this 4-day tour starting today on Thursday here in Gauteng, it's stopping here in Pretoria where we are, also in Johannesburg. From here we'll move to Joburg and then to Soweto with activities, culminating at the FNB Stadium. And tomorrow the victory parade moves to Cape Town, and then the next day to Durban, and the next day to East London as well. So, we're hoping that as many South Africans will be able to gather and, really share their joy with the Springboks for what they have really done for us. And Aldrin, I mean, as we celebrate, I always ask myself, our sports team here at the SABC, just give me a bit of history, man, about this cup. What is this cup, the Webb Ellis Trophy? Where does it come from, I mean, who's it named after? Tell us a bit about it, And Aldrin, I mean, the winners of the Rugby World Cup, are presented with this Webb Ellis Cup since the first tournament. And guess when that was? In 1987. Let me see, how old was I? I was born in 1982, so well, figures. I didn't get to see that. I was too young.
It's 36 years.
It's 36. This cup is named after William Webb Ellis, often credited with, being the inventor of rugby. And, it's said that it was a boy, who picked up this football and ran with it at rugby school in England in 1823. So a little bit of history there, of why the name of this trophy, that so many members, of this superb team have been raising this cup. And, momentous in the fact that 4 times, never heard of, never seen before. Certainly this is something to celebrate along the streets of Pretoria. And I'm not sure what visuals you're seeing on your screen at this time, but just here at the Union Buildings, there are people who have gathered, they are screaming and calling out for Elizabeth, and that's Elizabeth. And that name certainly has stuck. The president's also speaking about that. So I can certainly tell you the scenes. I mean, Makazole Mampimpi, also receiving his certificate of appreciation. The president, handing those over to members of the team, Cheslin Kobe, some of those, who, you can see, man, also in the scenes of jubilation, South Africa's tournament had started with a loss, you'd recall, to New Zealand. After finishing second in the group, they then beat Japan, with Makazole Mampipi scoring 2 tries. And then in the semis, they beat Wales in every match, and the decider was a late penalty, you would recall, converted by Handré Pollard. And England's final started badly with Kyle Sinkler injured in the 3rd minute. I'm really just going back here. South Africa scoring then 2 tries in the second half. The first, a famous run down the line by Makozole Mampimpi as well as Cheson Kobe. Dot down sealed a comfortable win. How's that? 2023, South Africa beat New Zealand 12-11 in that final. Who can forget that moment? Everybody was outside. If you were not outside, you were not South African. I can certainly tell you that. So the celebrations continue here. I think, the bus is going to start moving any moment now. And I think I'm going to let you go so that we can actually follow this bus at the moment. Aldrin, just let me go for a few seconds. I need to jump into the vehicle and I will show you as we move.
Okay, do that. Griselda Lewis there with the team in Pretoria, where the parade is starting off, of course, this morning. Griselda going all the way back to the history of the Webb Ellis Cup, and also if you're listening to what the Minister of Sports had to say earlier on about today being a significant day, because it was on this day, the 2nd of November 2019, that South Africa won that World Cup in 2019, the Rugby World Cup in 2019, and that of course was one of the major victories for the Springboks, and now securing that victory once again in 2023. Another significant thing about 2023 is also that if you look at the World Rugby website, they say that legend has it that rugby was founded in 1823, which means that this year it has been 200 years of rugby. So also celebrating the 200 years of rugby this year in 1823, and this year of course being 2023, and South Africa breaking that record, being the only country to win the cup 4 times. The president also emphasizing that all of this happened during the democratic dispensation of the country, a very important point there. And the president referring to when he went over to France to go and watch the final, he was told that he must learn the names of all of the players, because that is what Mandela did back in 1995. And if you read what historians have to say about that particular moment and why it was important because at the time the Springboks or rugby has been seen as one of the symbols of Afrikanism. And remember that the Afrikaner nation also playing quite an important role in South Africa's transition to the democratic dispensation. But there was that pushback, of course. There was that pushback. And remember when President Nelson Mandela at the time had asked for an inquiry into allegations of racism within rugby, and he was then taken to court where he had to testify in front of the court around why he believed that there should be that inquiry. And today, as the president in 2023 says that the Springboks have united South Africa, some people are pushing against that notion.